Um, but before we do that, there's a couple of things we have to do. So basically, I'm going to be painting in 3D Coat, and 3D Coat doesn't like a lot of Photoshop things like curves and groups. It sort of has supposedly folder groups have been implemented, but I haven't seen it working super nice yet, so I still refrain from using them. So to get ready for painting in 3D Coat, I sort of just have to like collapse everything down and just remove things that I don't need. But I am going to keep this PSD for later. Basically, when I've finished my diffuse painting in 3D Coat, I can bring that paint data back into this sort of master Photoshop file that has all my selections and layers and all that jazz. So here's one I created earlier, and all it is everything sort of separated into nice neat little channels. The only thing I will do is bring over my selection sets. And I'm just dragging that, holding shift. That should put it into place. Yep. Okay. I'm actually going to leave this group here and see if 3D Coat behaves. But now we're ready to start painting. Actually, no, we're not. I'll just do this in Photoshop because it'll be a little quicker than 3D Coat, but we have all our selection sets, so I can now use this to quickly give myself like a solid start to my texture, in that I'll be able to sort of flood fill my base layer with solid colors that refer to the concept. Let's put this guy down here. Okay. So when I start painting, if we go back to this, the whole thing I guess we need to be thinking about as we paint this is what is the style? What is our painting style? What is the art direction? Like what is this meant to look like? For the most part, the concept artist has already solved this for us in the texture, and we kind of just have to like follow their direction, follow their lead. But there's a couple of things that, as 3D artists, we need to sort of be aware of. The first one being is this is going to be an asset that's going to be rendered in the style of sort of League of Legends, Dota, MOBA type game, but more closely towards Dota in that it has normal maps, it responds to light and shadow and things like that. It's not like a flat diffuse texture like League of Legends seems to be. You can see like a lot of material effects in action here. And what that means is we don't want to be painting in a whole bunch of lighting information into our texture. Like we can do it subtly, we can do like a little bit of it, but we don't want to be overly painting in like extreme highlights that this sort of concept art is sort of depicting. If I could draw on it somehow. Yep. These are sort of things that we're going to allow Marmoset and the shader to do for us. Like you can see all the nice highlights that it gives us. So it's not within the style to actually paint a lot of this information in. It'll actually negatively affect it in a way. That's not to say that it should be like completely devoid of light information, like the PBR approach, but you should kind of restrain yourself somewhat. So yeah, back to base colors. When looking at this texture, when looking at this concept, sorry, we sort of have to figure out what is the local color of each material type that we can sort of throw down a base color for. And when I say local color, what I mean by that is what is sort of the color of each sort of material type without light affecting it. If you guys have ever seen, it's like those crazy light rigs that are like covered in lights, and they sort of take photos of actors and things like that, and you'll sort of get this like pristine sort of flat color version of like someone's face, and it's very sort of diffuse, and there's no highlights or anything. It's just flat color. That's sort of what I mean by local color when it's not being affected by light. So I wouldn't go in and choose sort of like this bright gold here as like the local color, because that's obviously a specular highlight. I'd probably choose maybe something a little more diffuse like this, or it's a little gray, so maybe something a little bit more warm, like maybe this, or this might be like a good mid-tone to start with. Maybe, yeah, we can play with it. Let's just do that for now. Or maybe that, okay. So we have a rough color. We can now just select the metal, go down to our base layer, and I'm just doing Alt-Delete to flood fill. And then maybe just quickly go through and do this to all the colors. So for, let's do that for now. What's this purple velvet? Let's just control click. What? There we go. Rope. Clause. Produce darker value. And I think that's all we had. Okay. Yeah, no, we're set up. We've got sort of rough flat colors in action, and we can pretty much start painting now. Might just do some tweaks there.